We are live. We are live. What's up, DJ? As always, first in the stream. What's up, man? Here for this 23rd anniversary of Urban Legend. One of the, in my opinion, best, not unsung slashers of the 90s. It's fairly sort of acknowledged as one of the really solid slashers of the late 90s, but a film that came at a time when slashers were really getting into the sort of swing of things. 96 was like the rebirth of slasher movies with Scream, and then obviously 97 you had I Know What We Did Last Summer, Scream 2, and then by 98 things are really kicking in, and it was just a great time to be a slasher fan. But so what's been going on? You're the only person in the chat, EJ, so just how's life with you, man? Because you're always the first person in the chat, and you know it always takes a while for other people to jump in. But you seen any good films? You watched any good TV shows? Because I saw in Dario Argento's Inferno for the first time, and it just, if you've seen that film, let me know, because that film just, I was left a bit bewildered by that movie. I like to think I'm open-minded when it comes to movies. You know, I'm not like some sort of closed-minded, you know, just slasher obsessive. I do like to watch all sorts of types of movies, no matter how crazy out there they are. You know, horror, thrillers, you know, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But Dario Argento's Inferno was just, I don't know. It just, maybe I put a tweet out. Maybe I should have taken more drugs, because it's just an insane film, and I did not understand anything that was going on in that film. Maybe I'm just too stupid to understand. Maybe it just goes way over my head. But that was just, I mean, Suspiria's quite trippy, and you know, the atmospherics and the camera work and this, you know, the cinematography, it's gorgeous to look at, but that felt like it had more to say. This film, just for me, it just missed the mark for me. I just didn't know what I didn't know what was going on, and I don't know what the director was trying to say in the film, which is a bit of a problem as well. So I've not seen Tenebrae yet. I've watched the first 10 minutes of Tenebrae, and I was sucked into that, and I backed out because I thought I'll watch Inferno first because it's released earlier. But Tenebrae looks a lot more promising, and John Saxon's in Tenebrae. I love John Saxon, but Inferno is just, it definitely it needs repeated watchings of that film, I think, to really get to grip with that movie. So I will always forget to do this. There we go. If anyone wants to jump in, there's the link. We'll start the stream. I will start the live stream in a couple of minutes. DJ, have you seen the Halloween Kills final trailer? Because for me, it just reveals even more and more and more and more. And are we going to have any surprises when it comes to the final film? I don't know. I'm still going to go and see it. Take my money, bitches. You know, I don't care. But I do feel like I have seen way too much of this film already. And it's my own fault. People who bitch and whine saying, oh, they've shown too much in the trailers. You don't have to click on. You don't have to click on that trailer. It's the same people who complain and whine about, I'm getting bullied online, I'm getting harassed. Just log off. You're not connected to the internet by force. You can always leave. But yeah, like I say, so I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to bitch and whine about when I watched the film. Oh, well, I knew this was going to happen. It's my own fault. I watched the trailers. I could have gone in blind and I didn't. It's my fault. It's on me. So people who bitch and whine about this, that, and the other, about, oh, it's been spoiled, don't click fucking play, you fucking fools. It's your own fault. But no, I haven't seen it. No point watching. They do show too much, and I've learnt my lesson now. But I still do it. I still click on. But yeah, I shouldn't do it. But I still do. But I'm not going to whine about it. It just is. Anyway, we're on it. This is quite a long. This is like a 1 hour 40-minute film. So I really don't want to hang around too long in getting this film started, because I mean I really enjoy this film. I think it's a great example of a slasher film, certainly of a specific time at the 90s. It's so 90s. It's so late 90s. It's so of its time. So I'm just going to click play. So anybody who watches along in the future or now, Urban Legend 1998. I am pressing play now. The longer films of the genre, but yeah, is my film playing? Oh, it is. It just goes black. It goes black for like 5 seconds. I'm like, is it turned off? It is TriStar. Do TriStar even make films anymore? Have they been bought out by somebody else? It's Sony Pictures, so I'm guessing it's something to do with Sony, and Sony probably, I don't know. But love the opening sort of 10 minutes of this film. It's one of those films where arguably the opening 10 minutes, you could say maybe the best 10 minutes of the film, just because it just plays into the whole premise of an urban legend. And I know the whole film does that, but it's not done as well throughout the rest of the film as what it's pulled off in such an effortless, good way in the first 10 minutes. And Jared Leto's in this film. Jared Leto, this is before I think he'd done My So-Called Life before this. He did this, and Joshua Jackson. This is just so late 90s. It really is. And isn't Tara Reid in this film? Jared Leto, Joshua Jackson, Daniel fucking Harris is in this film. Robert Englund's in this film. I mean, what more could you want from a slasher film? It's got that perfect, like, it's not high school. It's a university setting, and it captures it brilliantly. Really does. But again, we got the opening scene with the gas station. Brad Dourif, of course, being creepy as usual, but not as creepy as what we think. But yeah, the opening scene sets the tone for the film, and I saw this film on the cinema, 1998. So she was like, yeah. Jamie usually shows up sort of later on in the stream, so she might be along in an hour or so. Hopefully not too late. that's too loud for the stream, let me know, because I'm kind of trying to watch the film, but I don't want to like interfere with the stream. You know, I noticed in past streams where the audio is just it's coming through way too loud. I've turned the volume down a little bit. What urban legends did you believe as a kid? Now, DJ, my urban legend as a kid was actually not an urban legend. It was actually true. Now, growing up in Liverpool, there was an urban legend that there was a guy called Perpalaki. He was this massive guy who would basically go around um, approaching young men and trying to feel the muscles, like big, you know, they were jack guys. You know, he'd feel the muscles, and if you didn't let him feel your muscles, he'd like kind of like, well, I let you use your imagination. And there was a story that he chased a young boy across train tracks, and the boy was hit by a train because he was getting chased by this guy called Perpalaki. It's not even an urban legend. It's a true story. You can go on it's on the BBC iPlayer. There's a story about it. He's a real person, but it's the case of thinking, you know, as a kid, this was just an urban legend. It wasn't even an urban legend. This is a true story. So I haven't even got an urban legend. This is just you. The thing is, if you're in Scotland, you wouldn't. If you were from the northwest of England, Liverpool, Manchester, anywhere in the northwest of England, maybe North Wales, everybody knows who Perpalaki is. If you just, he's got his own Wikipedia page. It's not run by him, but there's a Wikipedia page about the guy. He's like 6'5", enormous muscles. You know, he goes to gym all the time, but he's just got this thing where he likes, you know, feeling young boys' muscles. And yeah, once he took it to extremes, and a young boy ended up losing his life. So yeah, it's not an urban legend; it's an urban truth, if you want to say that. But that's what I can think of. Now we got Brad Dourif in super creepy mode, trying to be the nice guy, but she doesn't believe it. Just put a link out to the live stream. I must admit, when I first watched this film, I genuinely believed he was. I didn't see the twist. I thought he was like a creepy guy. I didn't realise the twist they were going to pull. I think it's just. I mean, I didn't know Brad Dourif at this point. I'd probably seen him in a few films, but I didn't recognise his face. But he's just got that evil-looking, you know, antagonist face where you just don't trust the guy. And the immortal line now, it's such a good line. This is arguably, in my opinion, the third best slasher of the 90s, behind Scream and Scream 2. I know it's controversial because I know some people would put this ahead of Scream 2. Axe comes through the window. Yeah, such a good scene, such a good opening 10 minutes of a film. And such a great introduction to the university. So creepy looking. Jamie Blanks did an incredible job of this. I'm not entirely sure how Tara Reid got a role, but you know, she looks hot as fuck, so maybe that's why. Yeah, she's holding a microphone, and a couple of the live streams I've done in recently, you know, you kind of you're watching the movie and you kind of checking the chat, and you're watching the film. It's like, oh, this film's like seems to be going on way too long, and you're like, it doesn't. You know, am I really enjoying watching this movie back? Maybe it's not as good as I remember. And there's been a couple of films like that. Certainly with a couple of Halloween movies where they just don't connect with me as the way they used to. And yet there's a couple of Halloween movies which maybe connect more now through a rewatch. And it's not like I haven't seen these films for like years and years. I've seen the films in the last 10 years, but it's like your opinion changes almost on like a yearly basis with some films. It's like it's weird. And obviously this is no big everybody's seen the film who watches the live commentary. They all know that Rebecca Gayheart, you know, the little tiny brunette girl, is the killer in this film. So when I go back and watch the film, I'm trying to like pinpoint how they covered up the fact that she's like 5 feet tall and 100 pounds when she's meant to be this like sort of brutal killer. Because she's clearly not big enough to do the damage that she does in this film. I mean, she's the smallest character in the film, I think. And Jared Leto makes his appearance. This Jared Leto, he I suppose maybe I don't know. The Jared Leto in this movie is kind of your traditional good-looking American, you know, Hollywood actor. He could have if he'd stayed with this look, he could have done anything. But he was quite brave, and he completely went against. I think he rebelled against his looks. He knew how good looking he was, and when I did Requiem for a Dream, where he had to lose a lot of weight in a film about heroin addiction, and he never really went back to that sort of traditional good-looking, classic looks sort of character. He was always playing the outside, and I think that it took a lot of guts because he was in this film. You look at him; he is like the perfect looking sort of all-American, you know, jock type character. He could have done so much in the mainstream, but he didn't cruise by on his looks in the same way that Johnny Depp could have just cruised by on life with those looks. He could have done anything, and Johnny Depp decided, no, I'm gonna do more. And I think even Leonardo DiCaprio, to a certain extent, he was the same. He didn't just rely on his looks. He dug a little deeper and went for something a bit more, you know, alternative when it came to making movies. And I've only got the utmost respect for people like that, because they really could have just they could have made a living off that. They could have. Are they doing the Bloody Mary thing now? Don't mention Bloody Mary in this film because that brings back memories of the I think it's the third urban legend film, which is one of the worst films I have ever seen in my life. It is horrendous film. I think it's our first introduction to Joshua Jackson. Now I think Dawson's Creek dropped at this point. I don't think. Let me check Wikipedia because I seem to remember knowing who this guy was already before I saw this film, and I'm sure I knew him from Dawson's Creek. It ran from 1998. Yeah. So basically, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I thought so. So this guy had appeared in Dawson's Creek, probably literally months before this was released. And I didn't like him in Dawson's Creek. I like him a lot more in this. But this film does tick all the boxes of just like, that late 90s culture. And in terms of the people in the film, I like that overhead shot of the university. I'll actually find out where this film was shot actually because I love the look of it. So it's connected to camp, couldn't it? Oh, Toronto. So it's from Toronto. I would never know. Obviously, it's notoriously. I think is it a lot cheaper to film in Toronto. Oh no, I'm getting mixed up with Vancouver because I'm thinking of Friday the 13th Part 8. That was filmed in Vancouver. This is one of the best scenes of the film. Robert Englund's testing urban legends. Such a good move to get Robert Englund on this film, I think. Perfect timing for him as well, I think. It's almost like a little nod, in 98 Elm Street sort of like died a death. It's almost like a thank you to like an acknowledgement of what he did for the genre, in the 80s and less the early 90s because that less said about that the better. But Has anybody actually tried this? Because I've never heard of this urban legend ever. I do like this scene though. So there's our 5-foot killer, £100, who wipes out, a fair number of people. Obviously. Joshua Jackson plays his role pretty well, actually. Certainly this scene, he does a good job. He's just the right character for this scene. Somebody call 911. No, nobody's got a cell phone. Glorious times. I totally forgot about the cop on campus as well. The cop on campus always survives. What's up, Jamie? Nice to see you in the chat. Yeah, DJ said you like this film or you love this film. I love this film. I think this film's. If you want to watch along, Jamie, we are just approaching 21 minutes. Literally, we've just had the fizzy thing in the mouth scare where he fakes it. Yeah. Just 21:15 right now. If you want to jump on, if you've got the film available, it might even be on. It might be on YouTube. I don't know. Let me just check. I know it's probably a little bit too big time to be on YouTube, but you never know. No, it's not on YouTube. You have to pay. You have to pay for it, or go to a dodgy site. So, what have you been up to, Jamie? How are things over in New York? New York State, I should say. And what are your memories of this movie? Did you see this on the cinema like I did? Because I've got very, very vivid memories of this film. This was, as I say, I said earlier on the stream, this is the boom, they're right in the heart of the boom of the slasher resurgence. And it was a really, really great time. Like 98 was just a great time for me. Just growing up. I was 22, 21, 22. I can't. Yeah, yeah. But 98 was a great year. I can't speak for anybody else. I can't speak for you, Jamie. But 98 was. I've got fond memories of 98. when this film came out, I was 21, 22. And this don't mean to sound in a bad way, but I'm more than delighted with where I am now, with like married and child. He's like 18 now. But like going back to 98, it's a time before responsibilities kicked in, and you still working a job, making decent money. Well, it wasn't decent money really, but when you've got no overheads, because I was still living at home with parents, all the money I was making was just going on, what I wanted to spend it on and not other stuff. So I was spending it on going out. I was going out a lot, socializing, doing the whole drinking scene. And when I wasn't out socializing, drinking, you know what I'm talking about. It was, all the other money was going on. It was going on stuff like films, going to cinema, this, that, and the other. It was just all about, you'd work in the week, and at the weekend and in the evenings, your money went where you wanted it to go. And it was on films, going out, drinking. It's just, and you didn't have any responsibilities. And I wouldn't change it for the world. Obviously, I'm older now, and I wouldn't, I like what I've got now. But when you're younger, it's a good time. I was 25, 96, I'm sure I said job back then. Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one, because you're slightly older than me, but you remember the time before social media. I can't speak for DJ or anybody else who comes in the chat or watches, but you like, well, I do. I mean, obviously the opportunity now to talk to people like you, DJ, anybody else, and other people in the community. Without the internet, that wouldn't be possible. But at the same time, you go back to the 90s, you go back to the 80s when we were kids, or like young adults. I'm glad that I didn't have what I've got now then. And I think you probably feel the same as I do. I think most people do of a certain age. We're glad that we didn't have social media. It kind of, as much as it can be a force for good, it can be a force for like evil. Maybe not evil, but it poisons things a little bit. And I think that, being a certain age, we can look at social media in a way that we treat it with kid gloves, and we know not to abuse it, because we know it's how damaging it can be. And you can see it with kids today who, they don't seem to be able to turn off from the whole thing. It's like, they're locked into Twitter, Instagram, you name it, YouTube, 24 hours a day, and they'll get abuse online, and they think that they can't escape it. And like, you just log off. It's that simple. You just log off. It's not difficult. It's not difficult, but for people of a certain age, it is difficult. They can't like differentiate between the social media world and the world, that the real world, and it's pretty sad, but it is what it is. So my son, basically, why his phone? Yes, well, my son's 18, so it's only a year difference, and he's the same. It's the same. They're all just constantly connected to the phone. As he gets older, he'll learn. He'll become more wise to the real world, and hopefully become a bit more sensible. But I've totally lost track of the film now. I think, yeah, Joshua Jackson's about to meet his ends, and if I remember rightly, he gets hung. If I remember, I'm sure he gets hung, doesn't he? By Rebecca Gayheart, who is 5 feet tall and 100 pounds. And Joshua Jackson is like, what, 6 feet tall and maybe 200 pounds? But okay. She's just grown like 4 inches as well. Where's my screen gone? I'm sorry, Jamie. I'm just, you understand my point, though, don't you? I mean, it's slightly unrealistic to believe that somebody her size could like just overpower all these characters. But I know what you're saying. But let's be realistic. If Michael Myers was like 5 feet tall and 100 pounds, would we take him seriously? Or Jason? I mean, they do a fairly good job of making her look bigger than this, but just by putting a massive coat on her. Oh, Jan, what's up, Dan? Nice to see you on board. So, what do you think of Urban Legend, man? Because I think this is one of the. I know it's not up against much competition, but in terms of late '90s slashes, I think this is one of the best. If I'd put this behind Scream and Scream 2, maybe, yeah, I'd definitely put it behind Scream 2, but I love this film. Yeah, Urban is my favourite. Yeah, I, it's. I love the way they nail the whole university aesthetic as well. I love the setting of the film. I love slasher films set in high schools and universities. After camp slashers, this is my favourite setting for any slasher film. Especially, well, obviously in America, they're just so vast and there's so much, you know, opportunity to create like a really great slasher film in such a vast setting. Oh, Jamie, don't be like that. So, have you guys seen the Halloween Kills final trailer, or are you staying away from it? Because it's not spoiled anything that's not already been spoiled before, really. I had a little rant before. Alicia, is she the redhead, Dan? Because obviously you've got Tara Reid, who's this is before surgery, and you've got um, Rebecca. Is it Rebecca Gayheart? I've said her name. She's stunning in this film. Yeah, yeah, she's gorgeous in this film. I love Redhead. Before you jumped on, Dan, I was talking about Jared Leto, and I was saying about how in this movie he kind of portrays like he's like that all American sort of good looking, maybe not a jock type character, but he could have gone on maybe and had like this like Tom Cruise type career, because he's just got that clean cut all American good looking look about him. And yet he went on and did Requiem for a Dream, where he plays like a heroin addict. And he never really came back from that. He was always playing like an outsider, always playing like this sort of like, the skinny, sort of weird looking type character. And it took, I mean, a real brave move from him, I thought, because he didn't take the easy. He could have just cruised along on his looks in Hollywood. And I think there'd been plenty of offers for him to play him that sort of look he had in Urban Legend. And fair play, he just thought, no, I'm not going to be typecast as this pretty boy. I'm going to go and do something different. And I sort of compare him, not to the same extent to Johnny Depp, but Johnny Depp, early in his career was that time. He was the pretty boy. He could have just cruised along with those looks. Didn't really need to do anything, but he thought, no, I'm just gonna do something a little bit different. And fair play. Yeah. But I mean, in this film, you can totally see that he's got that. At this point, he could have walked into any sort of like role in Hollywood where it required, a good-looking sort of guy. You know what I mean? He was probably the perfect age to maybe take over like a sort of like Tom Cruise mantle. He's probably like a good 10 years younger than Tom Cruise. But I agree in that he is more suited to that edgy sort of role. And obviously that's something he's obviously a lot more comfortable doing that, because just look at his career, the way it's gone. He's never gone back really to what he's done here. It is. It is a rough watch. Even Jennifer Connelly doesn't look at her best in that film, and Jennifer Connelly is one of the most gorgeous women I've ever seen. And even in that film, she looks a bit, because obviously she's portraying a junkie as well. Jared Leto is a god. He can act like a be leading Phantom of his brother. I wish him as this was My So-Called Life. My So-Called Life, even I thought she was good looking. Even I was like, because I'm probably younger than Jared Leto, but I remember like that being on in the UK in the mid-90s, and I just remember thinking, oh, why can't I look like him? Do you know what I mean? My unmanageable hair and like just trying to deal with like spots and stuff, and like there's this fucking fella who just looks perfect. I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. Sean is in the chat. What's up, Sean? Nice to see you on board, man. If you are watching along, man, we are 30, just approaching 38 minutes if you are on board. As I say, I'm not sure where this is streaming. And now we have old internet. One of the great things about 90s movies is old internet. Those old chat rooms. Everybody remembers. If anybody from a certain age remembers those chat rooms, it felt so edgy at the time, didn't it? Talking to a complete stranger in a strange, over cyberspace. My God. how times nobody in their right mind would go in a chat room nowadays. It's just, man, Griffin's on board. What's up, Griffin? What's up, man? Nice to see you on board. Ryan Gosling followed the same path. He could have coasted off his love, but he's stuck to do and stuff like the policeman on the pine. My first recollection of Ryan Gosling was he did a film called Murder by Numbers with who's the guy? Who was the guy in Murder by Numbers? Another like kid who could like cruise by on his looks and just didn't do that. And I cannot remember his name. Griffin. Just you'll probably know if you've seen the film, you'll know his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. I cannot think what his name is. He was in Murder by Numbers, and I think he was in Funny Games, the American remake of Funny Games as well. But another actor who could have cruised by on his looks. I'd say it was in Last Days. He played like he wasn't Kurt Cobain, but he was playing Kurt Cobain in I think it was Gus Van Sant's Last Days. Michael Pitt, that's it. Yeah, another great actor who could have cruised by on his looks and just thought, no, I'm not doing that. Just going to do my own thing. But yeah. I've never seen it. I don't think I'd enjoy that movie. Like it was a stunning Eva Green. The stunning Eva Green. This character in Bully. Sorry. Lovely character, but I've not seen Bully. Is that a movie or a TV show? I mentioned in a tweet the other day, and I've mentioned it in the stream before everyone jumped on. But has anybody seen Inferno by Dario Argento? Because I put it in a tweet. I'm sure, obviously, Dan, you've seen it. For somebody who likes Suspiria, for all it's a trippy film, but I love the film. I love the cinematography, and the plot just manages to pull it through. Inferno, my God, that film I couldn't get my head around that film at all. The dubbing was horrendous. I don't know whether there's like a subtitled version. I might appreciate more, but the dubbing in the film makes everybody sound like the most wooden actor ever. The plot is just, I can't get my head around the plot at all. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what is going on in that film. It just seems completely random. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me. That is always, yeah, it is. Is there a version with subtitles? Because I just cannot get past the acting. The acting is because it's dubbed, it's so bad. And because the film is so bizarre, and it's just, I suppose you're meant to take from it what you want, because I have no idea what is going on in the film throughout. But I don't know. Tenebrae's up next, and I've watched the first 10 minutes of Tenebrae, and I really, really enjoyed the first 10 minutes. And then I realised that Inferno was an earlier film, so I'll watch Inferno first, and then I'll watch Tenebrae. But John Saxon's in Tenebrae, so that's got to be a good sign. But Inferno, yeah, that's just, it's left me cold. Yeah, I do intend to watch Deep Red in the very near future, Sean. I know that is an essential watch. I'm just trying to get way through a lot of the Italian horror films, which I've never seen. I'm such a lightweight compared to like people like Dan and Lorne and a lot of the other guys. This seen a lot of this European cinema which I've never seen. So I'm really just trying to get up to speed. I watched Bay of Blood as well the other day, and again a Bay of Blood. Not for me. I'm sorry. It's just I couldn't get past the voice acting, the dubbing to me was just too bad, and I need to see a subtitle version. I think because I just cannot get past the dubbing on it. It's just for me, it's just horrendous, and I don't think it was a particularly great film. Maybe even with dubbing, I don't know. I can see the Friday the 13th influence, obviously, though, with some of the kills and the setting for it. Defense coming to force, seek case soon. If you never chance to watch one, it's deep red. It, I have seen like the odd clip, and it does look really, really good. Howling 4K. Howling never really resonated with me. Um, a lot of people point out to this being like a great werewolf film. I'm sorry, but American Werewolf in London, far better film, and everyone's entitled to their opinion, but I would pick American Werewolf in London any day over The Howling. Way better film in my opinion. Is anybody watching along, by the way? Because I'm just approaching 46 minutes. Does Jared Leto disown this film? In the way that Kevin Bacon kind of like tried to. He didn't. I'm not saying. I'm not sure what his opinion is now, but earlier in his career, he disowned Friday the 13th, and the way a lot of these big time Hollywood stars disown earlier films. I'm just curious to know whether Jared Leto's, you know, just abandoned anything to do with this movie, because obviously this is like his. I'm assuming this is his breakout role. I know he did My So-Called Life before this, but this has got to be his first sort of major film, surely. But is he all sort of high and mighty now? I don't acknowledge that film. I'm this actor. Oh, really? Fucking hell. What's Kevin Bacon got to be so proud of that he's ashamed of Tremors? What is Kevin Bacon's masterpiece, for Christ's sake? It's not. He's not exactly Daniel Day Lewis, is he? Jesus Christ, what's he done? Stare of Echoes. I mean, I like Kevin Bacon, but he's not like this upper tier, like greatest actor of all time nomination. He's just an actor. Like Kevin Bacon advertises mobile phones in the UK. That's how high Kevin Bacon is. That's how. So he was ashamed of doing Tremors, but he'll advertise mobile phones. Whatever. Death sentence. Sorry, Dan. Is that was that Jared Leto's opening? Was that his first film role? Because I've never heard of that film. But if it's Jared Leto's first role, I'm probably not meant to know about it. Yeah, if Kevin Bacon's being fucking arsey about being in Tremors, I'm not the biggest Tremors fan, but Tremors had a massive impact, on not just on the horror community, but on the wider community. And if he's going to be funny about that, fuck him, man. Fucking hell. It's called Wombs, about a husband that dies, and she decides to take his DNA and give up with clone sperm. No, I'll make a note of that one. I'm for a bit of Eva Green action. No, is it Kevin Mitchell revenge flick? Okay. Does he disown that film as well? Oh, love Gremlins. Love Gremlins. My issue with Tremors is I'm not a big fan of I've said this before, a lot of these sort of, oh my God, I'm going to get hate now off some, like, certain American communities. I'm not a big fan of these sort of, like, films where they're all just like rednecks. That's like, I don't know where it's Alabama, whatever. I mean, I don't want to sound like him. Like, I don't mind some redneck films, but with this film, they're just all so in Tremors. It's such a they're so rednecky, so hillbilly-ish that I just don't know. Don't hate me. I'm not I prefer. I just yeah. Sorry. They're just so like they're so. That accent grates on me a little bit with the way they talk, and yeah, what can I say? Americans in the chat, let me know what accent the Tremors accent is, because it's just so annoying that I just don't like it. Is it Alabama? Is it Texas? I don't know. It's annoying. I don't like it. Not to say that I won't like any film where that's set, but yeah. I can imagine the English actor in this who plays like the sort of head of the university, whoever he is. I can imagine he's been in loads and loads and loads of things, and I had no idea who he is. But he just looks like he's been in so many, like he's probably been in like hundreds and hundreds like classic films down the years. Yeah, I do remember Critters. Yeah, and Ghoulies. That was the whole like sort of late 80s. You had the whole like spate of like this. I think Gremlins kicked it off, but then Critters and Ghoulies jumped on, and it's like just this little creature things which are running around eating people. I think maybe that's where might have been like a precursor to sort of like the whole like in the whole like late 80s, early 90s, like the Puppet Master films. Maybe they kind of like took inspiration from that, like just like little things that can kill you. Because I think like the Puppet Master was like 1990. Was set and filmed in Nevada. Okay. Yeah, nothing against Nevada. I'm sure they're all lovely people, but I just found, yeah, it was just a bit much. I'm sure it's just California. I'd rather it was California, because I feel bad about like having a go at like Nevada or Alabama, but I've got no issues with having a go at California, because California is just like, fuck California, fucking just full of fucking degenerates. Okay, give the false scare, obviously, with the swimming baths. Little Rebecca there, little Rebecca. I mean, how could she kill anyone? she's like that big. She's like as big as my hand. Fucking gorgeous though, gotta say. I've got vague recollections of the sequels, but didn't she appear at the end of one of the sequels? Either the second one or the third one? And they are terrible films. I mean, two's bad. Two's bad. Three is just, that's like next level. That's like, the CGI in that film is just, it's like something from Sharknado. It's just awful. I think Urban Legend, it was the final cut, which is 2, and then 3 was Bloody Mary. Ugh. I don't think there's ever been a horror franchise where it's been, one film has been like so, I mean, I'm saying good in terms of like a slasher film. I'm not saying good in compared to, Goodfellas or Jaws. I'm saying I don't think we've ever had a franchise where you've had one film which is as good as that, and then the sequels have been so bad. You look at other franchises, obviously Friday the 13th, Halloween, Friday, they've all got bigger budgets. I know that. So they've had more of a solid back catalogue. But, I mean, a film like of this standard, the 2 sequels were so bad. It's just unbelievable. I mean, how 2 movies can be such a massive drop off from the first is just unbelievable. It's like I wouldn't even regard them as part of the same franchise. For me, they're just completely. It's like the Matrix films. For me, there's the Matrix, and that's it. The 2 following sequels and have zero to do with that film, and the new Matrix film, there's nothing to do with the original film. And it's like this with Urban Legend. I've got the original film, the sequels, no, nothing to do with this. Robson comedy coming soon. No, that's never happening. Sean, my Halloween October's pretty stacked. Lots of live streams coming up. I've got, if you check out my channel, Horns live stream, Halloween 2018 live stream, doing a trick or treat live stream, doing a Hellfest live stream with Lorne. I've reached out to Lorne. He's getting back to me, getting a set of time, a date, and Lorne's going to be for the duration on a Hellfest live stream. I'm seeing Halloween Kills the day of release, and I will have what I've called a post-mortem the very night of its release. So I'm going to see Halloween Kills on Friday the 15th, and then within a few hours I'll be live streaming my reaction to it. So everyone jump on board for that. Obviously, if you've not seen the film at the time, if you don't want it to be spoiled, don't jump on, but I will be spoiling that film. Yeah, so October's going to be stacked with live commentaries, but nothing to do, no Halloween, no Rob Zombie stuff, no, nothing. Oh, and Hell House LLC live commentary. If you've never seen that film, just watch that film. So fucking good. So good. Watch it and then watch it with me, because it is fucking incredible. The live streams I'm doing are all trying to make them like based around Halloween. So it's not just a horror film, the horror films with a Halloween setting. So obviously Trick or Treat, Haunt, Hellfest, Halloween Kills. There was something else, can't remember. I'm going to add a couple more as well as we get closer to the day. But yeah, in October, every Tuesday night, every Friday night, there's going to be a live stream, 7 p.m. UK time. No, sorry, midnight UK time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, it's going to be a blast. Just check up on the chat. I saw something. What did? Dee Wallace was in the last film, but wasn't the same character. It was pretty confusing, I imagine. Yes, I know. Well, I mean, I know that like in California, there's even like in Northern California, there's even like the supposed like sightings of like Sasquatch, and that always like left me like sort of like gobsmacked that California is so sort of like such a big, it's so populated and that, and I was like, what? There's like, I'm not saying that it's a real thing, Sasquatch. I don't think it is, but the idea that there's places that remote in California that people can actually think that they've seen a Sasquatch. That's just like crazy. But I always forget like how big America is. Coming from like little old England, well, Britain. I mean, I think Britain's the size of what, I don't know, New Jersey maybe. That's got to be bigger than New Jersey, surely. I don't know. Probably like New Jersey, New York, maybe combined. I'm not sure. Yeah. All right, Sean. I'll believe it when I see it. But if you do a live commentary, I want to be one of the first ones on your channel. Yes, I was right by Pet Cemetery fame. Yeah, I don't know what happened with the third one especially. The second one's bad enough. The third one's just an absolute travesty of a film. Rooney Martin assistant in the Hills Name Legend 3. Everyone's got to start somewhere. Maybe I'm also Penalty 2. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Do it last year, but don't tell anyone. Good luck with that. I think he's joking, Jamie. I don't think Sean's got any intention of doing a live stream. Yeah. With Dan. I don't tell. Oh, Jay, what's up, man? Nice to see you on board, man. How are things in? You in Texas, Jay? I always forget if you're in Texas or Tennessee, or is it either of them? I always forget. If you want to jump on, man, the link's there. Hayden jumped on last week, so. If you're watching along, Jay, we are 1 hour 2 in. 1 hour 2 minutes. It is a long. This is like 1 hour 40. This is like maybe 10. That's all right, man. I know the feeling. Whenever you and Hayden are streaming, it's always like I'm just about to go to work. It's shit, like, but I'm off soon, so I'll set my alarm for 4 a.m. and I'll jump on one of your live commentaries. It's good having Hayden on last week, though. Good chat. Yeah. Yeah, Jay. We're just, literally 1 minute 3:45. Yeah, if anybody hasn't seen last Friday's stream, Hayden jumped on. So if you haven't checked that out, check that out, because me and Hayden had we had a really good chat talking about cancel culture and, bit of politics, bit of comedy, talking about the state of fucking the world and shit. I had a little bit of a rant, as I sometimes do. I also thought, oh, you know what, as well, I was got really, really excited as well, because Jeepers Creepers live stream commentary, I thought, this channel's taken off. I thought, fucking hell. I thought, everybody's jumping on this Jeepers Creepers live stream commentary. I thought, Lawn jumped on. I thought, oh, must be the Lawn effect. I thought, this is going really well. So, Jeepers Creepers, 277 views. I thought, oh yeah, this is great. The subsequent live streams, 41 views and 40 views and 38 views. Apparently it's just bots. I didn't even know what bots were. Apparently it's just bots pinging the video. I don't really understand. I've had some dealings with the comment section, where just random comments come on like, you go on your YouTube studio, and it's just random comments like amazing or amusing, and it's just this weird sort of link. I'm like, that's a bit weird. Well, apparently that also reflects on views as well. So your video, a video you might make might just get bots doing something, so the views just go up, and like, so here's me thinking, this video's doing really well. I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's just bots apparently. But never mind. I did gain 4 subs in the last week, so that's good. I'm hoping to do 100 subscriber live stream some point in maybe 5 years. If you want, man, jump on. Yeah, last week was great. The link's there, man. Those old mobile phones, those old cell phones from the late 90s. Good memories. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, you're right, Dan. It's not. I mean, at the end of the day, it was never about like gaining massive subs. I mean, it was never going to happen. I mean, I can't edit for shit. I can't even put a proper intro into the videos I do now. But it's just about jumping on and just being genuine. I think that's kind of like, hopefully, what people take from it when they watch one of the live streams that I do, is that I'm just someone who's, a genuine fan, and has a bit of banter with the audience and stuff. Bit of quite a playful personality. So I think I'm quite I'd like to think I'm fairly charismatic when I'm talking. So yeah, it was never about getting massive subs. That's never going to happen. And the great thing about being a fucking minor YouTuber is, you do get like that sort of one-to-one talk with people. Griffin's in out the stream.
Hey,
What's up, man?
it's going good. How are you?
Not bad, man. Thanks for you to jump on.
Enjoying one of your favorites, huh?
Yeah. Do you like the film?
It's okay. I haven't seen it in over 15 plus years, so
Yeah. I mean, I suppose it's one of those films that maybe nostalgia maybe starts to play a part in how much you enjoy it. I'm not sure somebody who's new to the film, who's like, like maybe 16, 17 now, whether they'd enjoy it as much as someone our age. Because you do have that connection as maybe when you're younger,
yeah, not enough TikTok.
No, yeah, yeah.
I think
People,
with the cast, they're attractive enough that it could attract younger viewers. Because I hear people still, people far younger than me myself talking about how great Scream is still.
yeah. It's certainly one of the most attractive cast in a slasher film, I'd say. They did definitely go for the good-looking people at the time. It's not like they didn't really. There wasn't even really a geek. A lot of these slasher films, there's a geek, there's like a nerd, but with this film, they just basically went just all for looks, and like every character looks like like a pin-up.
No Crispin Glover.
No, certainly not. But yeah, I think we're just coming towards the demise of Tara Reid any second. But I do like the setting for the film. I do, like I said earlier on, barring camp slashers, I think like university slashers like my second favourite when it comes to a setting. Where you want a good setting for a slasher film. Big open spaces, plenty of places for a killer to hide, and obviously, plenty of opportunity for a high body count.
Did you like Cry Wolf?
You know what? I was actually going to mention that earlier because I was on the point of mentioning Cry Wolf, and I wasn't sure if anybody would even remember that film, but it's got a very similar feel to it. But Cry Wolf is more of a PG-13. I'm sure it was like, it wasn't even an R-rated film. I'm sure it was like.
Also, the main character was English as well.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. But
which was really strange because I'm pretty sure like his character's dad was American.
Yeah, but what I remember of Cry Wolf, what the premise of it was, it was kind of, it was connected to the internet in some way, where it was like, they created the killer. It's been a long time since I've seen that film, but wasn't it something to do? It was created sort of through the.
Well, it was like I don't really remember the internet part, but I remember them like they're all in like a chapel, and they're all kind of like daring each other.
Yeah.
The girl with the dog in Dawn of the Dead remake was prominent in that one.
I do remember there was a scene I did like in that film, was a scene where he was in the library.
Oh yeah, and, the lights keep going.
Yeah, they were on a timer, so when you moved into that section, the light would come on, it would go off, and obviously the lights are coming on. I thought that was a really well done shot, but that's probably a film I do need to revisit because it's something that nobody ever really talks about. But it's probably to do with the fact that it didn't have the R rating. I know in the UK it was a 12 certificate, which means that anybody over the age of 12 could see it. which says something about the film. It was very, very little gore in the film. So
yeah, I don't really remember all that much gore from it.
Yeah. I think we're just getting towards the climax of the film now.
I know the guy from one of the guys from Supernatural was in it.
Oh right, he must have been. That must have been very, very early because I mean that show's been going for
Oh yeah, that show.
about 20 years, isn't it?
Yeah, that show just ended. I think.
God, that's been. What that shows? That's been going almost as long as The Walking Dead. That's another show that never seems to end.
Yeah.
I don't know. Does anybody still watch The Walking Dead?
I actually did watch Supernatural for the first season or two.
Yeah.
They kind of played up on the with the whole Hook Man in one of the early seasons, and like kind of Ring, one of the early episodes. I pretty vividly remember that.
I've noticed that. I know what you did last summer's getting an Amazon Prime TV show, which is I'm skeptical.
Yeah.
I really don't know where that's going to go. It could.
Dumpster.
Yeah. I'm sure it's going to be extremely woke as well. Highly woke.
Probably.
But we'll have to wait and see. But I don't know whether they're going to. If it's going to be dropping every episode in one go, which I won't mind. If they just drop it all in one go, I'll just binge watch it in a day. But if they're going to drag it out over like 6-8 weeks, I'm just not going to even bother watching it. So I think that's the issue with streaming services. If it's a show you're really, really into, you don't mind, you're invested, so you're prepared to like watch it over a period of time. But if it's something that you're not really that bothered about, it's like it does have its benefits of just dropping everything in one go, where you can just you can just watch it and just if you enjoy it, you enjoy it. If you don't, you don't. It's done and finished with. I think with Stranger Things at this point, I'm surprised they haven't like with Stranger Things because it's got such a massive following now that they haven't like made it. They haven't carried it out over like a set number of weeks because they know that the audience is there who will be invested in it. It almost seems like a waste for Netflix to just put it all in one go because all your momentum's gone. Any hype that show builds up, it's almost gone within a week because everybody's consumed it and moved on to the next TV show. Whereas if a show that big, if you do keep it going, over like 8-9 weeks, you can keep that momentum going and keep on building on just advertisements and look at Game of Thrones. The Game of Thrones final episode was being shown in pubs, bars all around the world. People were going, people going out to cinemas to watch it.
They were doing trivia at bars and pubs.
Exactly. If that had been a Netflix, dump it in one go, that would have all been lost. So I do think there's a market for the very, very biggest shows to really go down that route. I think Netflix probably do need to look at that. Maybe they will. Maybe they've already started. I don't even subscribe to Netflix anymore, but it is.
I let my subscription end as well.
I kind of just jump between different streaming services. I've got Amazon Prime at the minute. I'll probably drop that in a couple of months. Move to Shudder maybe. To Netflix. I don't have Shudder at the minute. I've had it, and I'll probably go back to it in a couple of months, and just binge watch everything I've not seen.
Yeah.
But it's too expensive. I can't afford to have Netflix, Amazon Prime, Shudder, and a couple of other streaming services. It's just it's way too expensive.
There's so many.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a music fan, you'll have Spotify, and that's it.
Yeah,
you don't need it. You don't need anything else, really. But when it comes to TV and movies, you need to have to see everything. You've got to have like 5, 6, 7 different streaming services, and it's just realistically you can't. Nobody can. Well, unless you got money, enough money. Nobody can do that.
Yeah, unless you got Lauren book sales money. No, but yeah, it's just I distinctly, with all these different streaming services, I distinctly remember someone I used to talk to. I don't talk to him anymore but he was one of those smug assholes. He was like, I don't know why you buy so many DVDs and Blu-rays. Everything's on Netflix. Netflix is the way, man. Netflix is the future. And this was he told me this 6, 7 years ago. And now he's bitching. He's like, well, they took everything off of Netflix. They took everything off. It's like, oh, he's like, I guess it wasn't that bad, but yeah, DVDs and Blu-rays. I'm like, no shit, Sherlock.
Well, I mean, I don't buy much physical media, but that's only due to a lack of space. If I had the space, I would buy it. But the perfect rebuttal to the person you're talking about is look at something like The Simpsons. What do they like? Well, I mean, although The Simpsons now is a pale shadow of its former self, what did they actually stream now? You can't stream the Michael Jackson episode because it's offensive. Mm-hmm. There's 101 other episodes they won't stream because they're classed as offensive. You'll never see, and there's 101 other TV shows down the years which will never be streamed ever again because the class is offensive, because of people who are just offended by everything. So if you didn't have physical media, a lot of these TV shows would never see the light of day ever again. So you need that in physical media. Otherwise, I mean, they'd be gone forever because streaming services will not show anything that people want to cancel, unfortunately. So
yeah, and then you got Disney who they censor their content.
Yeah, put trigger warnings at the beginning of everything.
The trigger warnings.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jay says, "Oh, the RPO episode's cancelled yet?" I don't think they've been cancelled, but obviously RPO was cancelled from the show. So that's where we are now, 2021. Just cancel The Simpsons, period. It's nobody watches The Simpsons anymore. Just get rid of The Simpsons.
Cancel Family Guy while you're at it.
Yeah, I've not watched Family Guy for a long time.
Do it. Cancel that sucker.
Yeah. Dan says, I want a Millie Bobby Brown podcast with Joe Rogan. Is that I don't know if Jay's joking. Jay's saying that Bobby Brown, is that Millie Bobby Brown or Bobby Brown thinks the earth is flat? But I don't know if he's referring to Millie Bobby Brown or Bobby Brown the singer. It sounds both. Yeah.
Why not? It's Joe Rogan. He gets quite a few people on his show.
Yeah, I've not watched a lot since Joe Rogan went to Spotify. I've not seen a lot of his stuff, unfortunately.
Did you ever listen to the Chuck Palahniuk episode, the writer of Fight Club?
I don't think I did.
Yeah, with Joe Rogan, that's a good one.
I've seen so many Joe Rogan episodes with people I never knew would be interesting. and they were just like fascinating people, you know. But the problem with Joe Rogan now is like the stuff that I don't want to listen to. I like to watch on YouTube. I don't want to listen to it as a podcast.
There's a bunch of clips from that episode. They're pretty great.
Right.
Although there's a part in it where Chuck, he gets up to go to the bathroom, and Joe's talking to Jamie, and he's like, wow, this guy's really fucked up. Like, he's able to have these dark thoughts. Like, that's fucked up. So crazy.
Yeah.
It's so intense. It's like, oh God. And there's so many moments where he's fucking with Rogan. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Have it on with have Bobby Brown, Millie Bobby Brown on with Elon Musk. Yeah, because exactly. Elon Musk. I don't get these people who like these flat earthers. I don't get it. The special if the Earth is flat, the special effects they're using when they go to space, if Hollywood could definitely use those special effects, because they're not privy to like the special effects that they're using, obviously, because they're pretty fucking impressive if they are.
I know. I wonder how the hell they did all those science fiction, all those well.
I mean, I've heard the Stanley Kubrick. You know, he was involved in the moon landings, and I've got to admit, for the longest time, I've been skeptical about the moon landings. I don't know. It's just because maybe I'm just being. I'm not saying I don't believe we didn't go, but at the same time, I always think to myself, why have we sort of gone backwards in terms of technology when it comes to space travel? You know, we kind of went to the moon 50 years ago, and then ever since we've like barely gone beyond the Earth's atmosphere. And I always just thought that was a bit odd, but I don't know.
They didn't watch The Red Planet or Mission to Mars.
Yeah.
That was one of those weird pairings, you know, like they always do the similar premise films, and that was an odd one.
Yeah.
Did you watch the Val Kilmer documentary?
I've not. It's the brand new one.
Yeah.
Now I've not seen it yet. I do intend to watch it.
There's a segment where him and Tom Sizemore were talking about how producers and directors, they don't fully understand actors, what they have to go through.
Yeah.
I was laughing my ass off when he's sitting there talking to like Tom Sizemore, like you know, kind of his what kind of philosophy and shit. It was hilarious. I'm like, Tom Sizemore just wants to get high. Or get coked out of his mind, I guess.
Tom Sizemore slept with Liz Haley, so fair play. The famous he did an interview, Tom Sizemore, when he was at Passenger 57.
Yeah,
with Wesley Snipes. With Wesley Snipes.
He was in that?
No, yeah, with Wesley Snipes.
Do you mean what's the? I know it's a movie. I think I know what you're talking about. I cannot remember the damn.
It's just set on a plane with Liz. Yeah, there's it's like a British bad guy, whose name escapes me. Liz Haley's like an air hostess who's like his evil sort of sidekick. And there's like there's a black female who's like the sort of like sidekick to Wesley Snipes. She's like the good air stewardess. It's from like '93. It was just before. Do you remember when Four Weddings and a Funeral came out with Hugh Grant?
Oh yeah, he was in 57. Oh, he was the agent.
Yeah. Well, so when that film was filming, Tom Sizemore did an interview a few years later, and basically when they started filming, Tom Sizemore and Wesley Snipes were just, they were chatting amongst themselves, and they were introduced to the cast members, and Liz Hurley, who's I think in one of her first major roles. And Liz Hurley at this point was about 26, so you can only imagine how fucking hot she was.
I've seen it.
Yeah. So they both like checked out, Liz Hurley and the other girl, and apparently Wesley Snipes said to Tom Sizemore, "I'm having the white girl, but I'm gonna sleep with her. You can have the black girl." But Tom Sizemore ended up hooking up with Liz Hurley. And at this point, apparently, she was already dating Hugh Grant, because this was like a year before Four Weddings. And that's when she became more famous for being his girlfriend than as an actress, because she couldn't act anyway. But Tom Sizemore basically told the story that when he did finally hook up with her, they went back to their hotel or flat apartment, whatever it was, and she just basically put on a striptease for him, did the full works, and he basically just said it was just like one of the greatest nights of his life. And he said he couldn't believe how beautiful she was, and he couldn't believe how lucky he was to be sleeping with Liz Hurley. So it's a good story. But she was dating Hugh Grant at this point. She was dating Hugh Grant, and she went behind his back to sleep with Tom Sizemore. So
who wouldn't?
Well, yeah.
I don't get that's one of those guys that like he's like the heartthrob Hugh Grant. I just never got I'm like, what's the appeal aside from him being English?
I don't know. I suppose for a certain person, he kind of gives off that sort of. I mean, he wasn't ugly in his younger days.
No,
he wasn't.
He was ugly. He's just very like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's just kind of like.
Maybe a lot of people like
posh.
But
like he's not rugged like
no.
Russell Crowe. I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah. I think he just plays to a certain audience who like, especially maybe some maybe American women like that, like upper class English sort of gent, who's kind of like with money. Maybe that appeals, but he's not like a manly man.
No, he's not manly, but he's not a Jude Law either.
No. And he's certainly not like a Tom Hardy character.
No, he doesn't have the rugged of Tom Hardy.
He'd never be like sort of, he's never going to like a bulk up, but that he's old. I mean, if you've seen The Gentleman, the last Guy Ritchie film, like Hugh Grant's old now. He's like his looks have long gone, and he's had to change his his persona a little bit in The Gentleman. Like the Guy Ritchie film, it's the very first
villains now.
Well, it's the first. Yes,
he was in Paddington too, as the big daddy.
Yeah, like Dan says, Hugh Grant was a good slime ball in the Gentleman, and I think it's the first film I've seen Hugh Grant where he doesn't do his own accent, because in every film I've ever seen him, he always plays that upper class sort of like posh boy, and in The Gentleman, he's got a Cockney accent, so he's playing like a working class like London, character. And when I first saw the film, it took me a few seconds to realise it was Hugh Grant, because he's got glasses on, he's a lot older than what I'm used to seeing, and he's just doing this accent which I've never heard him do before. But he
stretching his acting, huh?
Yeah, but he does a good job. It's but the thing, once your looks go, you have to open up. You have to start trying to do a bit more.
You see Dan's comment.
Yeah. I don't. Can we say that Jamie's left the chat now, Dan?
Left the chat.
I endorse Dan's comments though. even now, Liz Hurley's just stunning.
Yeah, she kind of disappeared like after.
I mean,
No, not Bewitched. The
Bedazzled.
movie,
Bedazzled
with Brendan Fraser. That was like the last big thing I remember her in.
She did a lot of modelling after that. She's still like quite a big deal in the UK because she's just
hot.
Yeah, that's literally the only reason. I mean, her son now, who's like about 19, 20, he looks more like Liz Hurley.
Oh, really?
Almost he looks like Liz Hurley. He looks like he's very sort of androgynous. So he's got like very straight sort of brown hair, like shoulder length hair, and he just looks like a young Liz Hurley. And you have to do a double take and think, is that a woman? It's actually a man. It's just like it's so bizarre.
So, since I got you here, we're on Guy Ritchie. What'd you think of those two Sherlock Holmes movies?
I like the first movie. I'm not so keen on the second. I think the first movie was like kind of like didn't know what to expect. I thought a Sherlock Holmes film. It's been done before, but I think he brought something new to it. And the second one, I wasn't that fussed.
Yeah, man. Mark Strong, man, he's like the go-to villain for everything. Yeah. Everything.
Well, he's in there. He's the villain in Shazam. Is it Shazam? He's the villain in that.
Yeah, he's villain in Shazam and one of the Marvel movies, I think. A couple of them, probably. I don't know. Shit. I know he was also the villain in. Well, he wasn't the villain yet, but Green Lantern he was supposed to be.
Right. Okay.
And
have you seen him? Have you seen Grimsby with Sacha Baron Cohen?
No, I haven't seen Grimsby.
Yeah, he plays his brother. That's it's a good film. It's certainly pretty gross out humor. It's if you know like Sacha Baron Cohen, you know what to expect. If you've seen Bruno or Borat, it's quite sort of, although it's scripted rather than playing in front of like real people.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite some of the humor is quite out there. It's a good film.
I think one of the only movies I've seen him really play a good guy was in those Kingsman movies.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of those, I'll admit.
I've not even seen the sequel. I've seen the first film. I've not seen the sequel.
Did you like the first one?
Yeah. As I say, I went into it completely blind, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. And I was expecting it to be more, a lot more like hot, because I thought it was going to be more serious.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I didn't see any trailers, anything, so I went in and expected it to be like a lot more serious. And it's like, it was an enjoyable film. I'm not. It's not a film that I'm particularly sort of keen to revisit, and I'm not that fussed on seeing the sequel. But I mean, Taron Egerton, he's sort of gone on to become like a fairly big deal now. I think he was in the Robin Hood film.
That was terrible.
It was, yeah.
That was. Oof.
I mean, there's not been a good Robin Hood film since Prince of Thieves, in my opinion. I thought the Russell Crowe film was pretty
Mark
poor.
Strong was a bad guy in that too.
It's just, if they want an Englishman with someone with an English accent to be a bad guy, just go to Mark Strong.
Mark Strong, or I guess he doesn't really do bad guys anymore. Well, he did. Oh, he did that terrible Jeremy Irons. He was in that terrible Assassin's Creed movie. Oof. You see that?
I've not seen that now.
Oh, that's bad. There's a part in it.
Jeremy Irons was in that?
Yeah, he's the bad guy now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. He'll do it. Jeremy Irons is like he was the bad guy in Dungeons and Dragons back in the day. He'll take a paycheck. Jeremy Irons is like a very, very well respected actor, but he will if there's enough money on the table.
I know, right?
He'll take it. And it's not like it's not like the guy is a bad actor, but he's obviously got no self-respect when it comes to just taking a paycheck.
That Robin Hood movie. That's that movie also. There was a lot of up and coming people. Like Oscar Isaac was in that.
Oh, the 2000. Which is this the Russell Crowe version?
Yeah, I was looking at the IMDb of it because I saw it when it came out, but I hadn't seen it since. I was just looking. I'm like, holy, Oscar Isaac, Léa Seydoux was in it. I'm like, what? But yeah, the boring as hell movie.
I mean, Dan mentions Robin Hood Men in Tights. Well, he said men in leather tights. But it's a sad state of affairs when Robin Hood Men in Tights is probably the second best Robin Hood film of the last 30 years. Anything before then, you're going back probably to like Errol Flynn days, but anyway.
Yeah, the Assassin's Creed movie was garbage because it was PG-13. It's based off of an M-rated. Like, okay, spoiler: Jeremiah Irons gets his throat slit in the movie, and there's no blood.
Yeah,
like there's just a big gaping, cut on his neck, and no blood.
Was this the Jake Gyllenhaal?
No, that was Prince of Persia. This was Michael
my
Fassbender.
God! So Prince of Persia is a totally different. So I've never seen that either.
Well, it's funny. They're both by the same game developers, Ubisoft.
Yeah, I mean, is Prince of Persia worth a watch?
No. I mean, it's decent. It's one of the better ones based off of video games.
Yeah, for me, Prince of Persia was just such a bizarre choice to make a video game out of, to make a film of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the bloody what's the film we've just been talking about with Michael Fassbender?
Oh, Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these video games are just kind of like pass me by. I mean, I used to be a big video game fan back in the day, but in the last sort of like 10, 15 years, I've kind of really dropped off. So a lot of these games came out in that kind of Xbox 360, Xbox One,
that's why
PlayStation 3. Yeah, because I mean, I kind of still own them because that's there for my son. I kind of dropped out during the original like Xbox era, PlayStation 2 era. I think that's the last time I consistently played games, and a lot of these, like Prince of Persia. I think a lot of these games, like Assassin's Creed, I think came around maybe during the later 2000s. And
yeah, it was one of the earliest 360 games.
I mean, I know Prince of Persia goes way back to like the 90s, but
I think it was on the computer. It was like originally a computer game.
It was like a side-scrolling. I think it was like on the old Commodore Amiga that I remember it. It was like a side-scrolling game, a lot like like what you think of like a Mario game, but with a lot more fluid animation. I think that's what it was known for, where like the characters would kind of like the body would move, like the limbs would move independently from the head, and it was kind of like known. It was kind of like considered a groundbreaking game at the time, but. Yeah, I kind of checked out on video games in the main. So like maybe about 2005.
That was a good jumping off point, honestly.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, there's some good games on the 360 and even PS3, but a lot of the great games were on PS2, original Xbox.
I think getting older as well, and I think me jumping off kind of coincided with like the birth of my son, because he's 18 now, so he was born in 2003. So if you look at the time I kind of jumped off, it was kind of around the time he came to about 2 years old. And if you've got kids, you know what a 2-year-old's like. Yeah. So once they hit that point, you ain't doing anything apart from just chasing them around. And you haven't got, and you're tired all the time, and you just haven't got the time to do anything. So. And this kind of coincided with, video games at this point were starting to become like massive, like
Mhm.
really, really in depth, and the sort of smaller, like sort of arcade type games were kind of like dying out, and
Oh yeah.
they were developing into these sort of like massively, these massively multiplayer online games, and
Oh.
games like Elder Scrolls and like Fallout, where you've got to invest hundreds of hours to get the most out of the game. And by this point, I didn't have time for that. I was just wanted to jump on for a quick 20-minute, blast of something like really straightforward. So it was kind of like, well, I haven't got time for this anymore.
Mhm.
So I only really jump back on in terms of like the most I game now is kind of like on a smartphone, like playing like something like Candy Crush, or
Mhm.
something you can just play up like 10 minutes, jump out, and then just go on later on. There's just yeah, even though my boy's grown up, and I haven't got the will to just get back into just plowing hundreds of hours into a game. It's just too much now. I just don't have the attention span.
Yeah.
And to fit that in with watching films and watching TV shows, it's almost like overwhelming now.
Do you remember the last kind of video game you really played? Like the last
Yeah,
console?
probably it was probably San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas,
Mm.
on the original Xbox, because that was a fairly big game in terms of open world, but you could still get through the majority of the missions in a fairly short period of time, and then you'd spend the rest of the time just doing the other side stuff. But I think after that, then the 360 came out and the PlayStation 3, and it was getting a bit too much, and I was like, no, just.
Did you play Doom 3?
Possibly, I'm not sure. I might have done, but my memory is sort of vague.
Did you play the Riddick video game?
The which?
The Chronicles of Riddick video game, Pitch Black?
No, I never played that.
Oh, you would love that.
I did play a lot of in terms of first person shooters. I used to play a lot of Quake.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Quake? I think that was that must have been on the PS1, maybe.
PC.
PC.
And then they ported. No, yeah, you're right. It was on PS1. You're right.
Yeah, I remember playing that back in the day a lot. It was the old the split screen where you play rather than online. You just your friends next to you, and it's just a split screen. You just this is before online. Well, it wasn't.
This maybe was like, that was the beginning of the online. With
yeah, but this is before we had broadband, like fast internet. So I was playing I didn't get the internet until 2002. I was quite late to the game. I mean, because I don't know how it was like in the States, but until about 2005, 2004, maybe, like fast internet wasn't a thing. It was dial-up, dial-up internet.
Oh, I remember those days.
So it sounded like a high screeching noise when you're connecting to the internet, and it'd take like 10 minutes to load up a screen, and it was just pointless. It was just like, it was so crap back in the day. And then obviously when the fast internet came, and you could actually when YouTube came along and you could actually watch videos quickly, like my mind was blown at that point. It was like,
I know, right?
Holy shit! This is what the internet was meant to be. But before that point,
back in the 240p days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for all YouTube back in them days, I still like YouTube back in the day more than I do now.
Yeah, true.
It was, before Google bought it, it was just like, it was like the Wild West. You could get anything on YouTube.
Yeah, it was a lot more tight knit and connected. Like, because you could actually discuss and talk with each other on your someone's YouTube channel. Like, you can have a little discussion. And you had messaging on there. You could rate someone's video 1 out of 5 stars.
I seem to remember you were able to do a direct video response to somebody. So if somebody, and that just quickly disappeared. I think once Google got involved and bought it. I just remember like back in the day on, before, maybe even in the early days of Google buying out YouTube, you could get like all sorts of like, crazy videos. Like I used to love watching all the old conspiracy videos and stuff. But you can't get anything on you. There's nothing on YouTube anymore.
It's funny.
They're all gone.
That's how I watched most movies, was on YouTube, because people would put them in 10-minute segments. I watched Halloween 5, 6, Urban Legend. I watched on YouTube.
Yeah, because
I did see Valentine though from Jamie Blanks. I saw that on television. That was being played.
Because I seem to remember back in the day, nobody was allowed to upload a video longer than 10 minutes. So everything was done in parts, wasn't it? So, anybody uploading was like, every video was like 9 minutes, 59 seconds, and then there'd be part 2. And it was just like, what's this? What's going on? And then eventually they lifted that. But because that was a really frustrating thing about early days of YouTube. But there was a sort of golden period around like maybe 2011 to 2014, 2015, where everything was right. You could get whatever you wanted on there. They weren't limited to 10-minute videos. But then obviously Google started to flex the muscles, and they started to really sort of like knuckle down, and all the good stuff went. You couldn't say anything offensive. You couldn't upload anything which is controversial. That all just went, and now we're left with the YouTuber today, where it's just like the sterilized sort of atmosphere. Where I don't know. I mean, it's still.
It's funny. It's like horror movie. Horror channels dedicated to horror movies are like big. Big pulls.
Yeah.
Like big, like the Dead Meat guy, and there's quite a few people who they put up horror stuff, and they do pretty well. But they're like, we don't want that horror shit on our website.
Yeah.
Like you were saying with Cornelius, you're talking about how it's just like how it's the left that's going after the censorship now. It's crazy how it's swapped over.
Well, I mean, it's kind of roles are reversed almost.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just what the hell happened?
I mean, like I say, what was talking last week with Hayden, it's just, I mean, it's like late night talk show hosts have kind of like definitely sold the soul.
Especially here in America. Oh God.
Well, it's just as bad in the UK. It's like I mean, I'm going to wrap things up in a minute because I do need to go to bed. But it's like 2:00 in the morning. But I just I'll just repeat what I said last week to Hayden about, and you'll agree. It's like even in the UK, like everyone was obsessed with Trump. Because obviously, we get bombarded with like American politics in the UK, because obviously America's America, and it's like the superpower and all that. But they loved like just constantly going after Trump constantly. We thought, well, fair enough. He's a bit of a knobhead. He's a bit of an idiot, but he's gone now. So you can start going after the new guy, can't you?
No.
The guy who sniffs little kids. The guy who's senile, but they don't go anywhere near him. And I'm like, well, there's plenty of ammunition there for you. The guy literally stands on a stage and sniffs kids. Isn't that a bit weird? Isn't that a bit creepy?
Well, and they did the same thing with when Obama was president. They always played it really safe.
Yeah,
very safe with the comedy, which made sense, but oh my gosh, and they just kept bringing up Bush forever. Yeah. And Bush was an idiot. I won't argue there, but it's like, I guess Obama's completely perfect. Apparently that's what all these outlets want you to believe. It's kind of funny how it works like that. It's like
it's crazy.
Because like I remember there was this big article, or not article, but what was it? What was the magazine? It was like Men's Esquire or something, and they show a picture of like all the Republican presidents, and they're all like goofy, being handed bibs or being handed pacifiers and stuff, and then all of a sudden they're given, and then it shows the Democrat presidents, and they're all like really flattering, like smiling photos, or they're like really powerful like photo, like where they're like the camera, low angle camera looking up, having them kind of doing the Superman pose. It's like, and then we show Bush and everybody. It's like we got a pacifier in their mouth. It's like, wow, I really wonder what you guys think of each of these presidents.
Yeah,
really a mystery. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Anyway, I'm gonna have to call it a night, I think. But thanks for jumping on. Thanks, Griffin. Thanks for jumping on, man.
All right, no problem. Thanks for doing the commentary.
Well, I'll be here every Friday, every Tuesday. So, always the same time. I'll be here every Tuesday, every Friday. So, if you ever want to jump on, man,
all right, no problem.
Chat. The link's always there, man.
Always a surprise guest.
Yeah, nice one, man. All right, anyway, I will see. Cheers, Griffin. See you later, man. And time to wrap things up. Dan, thank you, man. Thank you, Jay, and for everyone else who's in the chat tonight. I don't. Maybe streaming Friday night. I'm not entirely sure, but so October's going to be stacked. Yes, October's going to be Tuesday, Friday, all through the month, all Halloween related films. So yeah, stay tuned. And yeah, so thanks for everyone who's in the chat tonight. Really appreciate it. I will see you guys later. If I can end the broadcast.